Welcome everybody, and as you can see, we're not in the church today. I'm doing this from my home because some of us we went for a meal last week and we were pinged and we've had to self-isolate. Oh dear. So bear with me. I'm doing this on an iPad mini and my cat may come and join us. But I hope you'll enjoy the service anyway. It's today is Father's Day, so we think about paternal fathers everywhere. It's also World Refugee Day, and I think we're all refugees of some sort, but we're still not very kind to refugees and immigrants in this day and age. And yesterday in America was Juneteenth Day, which was freedom of slaves from 1866 in Texas. I wonder now if things have moved on very much at all. But welcome everybody. And as is our usual, we will light the chalice. And our chalice lighting words today are by Reverend Atticus Palmer. We call this light before us in hope that we may always remain a strong community, working together to make the world a better place. When we are grieving or sad, when we are challenged, when we need help, this flame guides us out of darkness. When we are cheerful, when we celebrate, when we accomplish a great task, when we return to a place that makes us happy, the chalice reminds us to share our happiness with others. And our first hymn is the Purple Book 147, Spirit of Earth, Root and Tree. And Kate will share the screen.
Of
I'm sure you sang that really beautifully. And now is a time to turn to prayer. So if you take a few seconds to just be quiet. And our prayer today is adapted from one by Reverend Justin Osterman, and it was written in June 2018. Divine Spirit, it's hard to know what to say, hard to know what to pray sometimes when fear, sadness, anger, and confusion take over. The world is so beautiful and so terrible at times. People so magnificent and so malevolent. It's hard to know how to feel with all the wonder and horror happening at the same time. Divine Spirit, help us to make things right and fair. Make us kind and just. Be in that small voice that speaks of love. Be our calm amidst the storms. Be the fragile flower that catches our eye to remind us that seasons come and go in nature, in life, in history. Be the kind eyes that remind us that there are open hearts and hands all around, waiting to love and help, if we will only open ourselves to them. Remind us in every way that we can choose how to respond in life, and help us choose wisely, act justly, live peacefully, and embody every value and virtue that we wish to see in the world. Help us to be and become our best selves in thought, word, and deed, today and every day of our lives. Amen. Now, Kathy is going to read the story today, and it's about the Hebrew myth of Lailah, but it's from an adaptation by Howard Schwartz. He's written a children's story about it. So I hand over to Kathy at this point.
Before you were born, your soul made a home in the highest heaven, in the treasury of souls. The angel Lailah watched over you, and one day a heavenly voice announced to all the angels the time had come for you to be born. Then the angel Lailah led you out of the treasury of souls and brought you down to this world. Once you were here, Lailah told your soul to enter a seed, and Lailah brought that seed to your mother, and you started to grow inside her. While you were growing there, Lailah lit a lamp inside your mother's womb and read to you from the book of secrets. As you slept, Lailah taught you all the secrets in the whole wide world. She taught you 70 languages, the language of the animals and the language of the wind. She even taught you the history of your soul and revealed the past and the future to you. Most of all, she told you many good stories, and even though you were asleep, you listened to all these delightful tales and you loved them. Finally, the time came for you to be born. Then the angel Lailah led you out into the world. But the moment you were born, Lailah put her finger on your lips, telling you that everything she had taught you was a secret. That's how you got the indentation in your upper lip. Don't worry though, in learning all your life those wondrous.
Thank you, Kathy. That was beautifully read, and we'll come back to that story. Oh, sorry. I'm not really doing this very well today. I'm really sorry. You'll have to just go with the flow. But thank you, Kathy. That was beautifully read. And I forgot to wait for Kate to highlight me or whatever to come back on the screen. But we will come back to the story a bit later in the address. And now I think if you just sit quietly, we'll have a short meditation by Thich Nhat Hanh, followed by a poem. So just close your eyes and just think of a sheet of paper. Can you see that sheet of paper? In that paper, can you see the cloud in the paper? Without the cloud, there would be no rain. Can you see the rain in the paper? Without the rain, the trees cannot grow. Think more deeply about the paper, and can you see the sunshine in it? If the sunshine is not there, the forest cannot grow. And so there is also sunshine in the paper. Carry on looking deeply in the paper, and you will see the logger who cut the tree. We know the logger cannot exist without the wheat from the mill. And therefore, even his bread is also in the paper, as is his mother and father. Thich Nhat Hanh calls this interbeing. I just call it, we are all one. And this is a poem by Thich Nhat Hanh called Interbeing. And it will be followed by silence and reflective music. The sun has entered me. The sun has entered me together with the cloud and the river. I myself have entered the river, and I have entered the sun with the cloud and the river. There has not been a moment when we do not interpenetrate. But before the sun entered me, the sun was in me, also the cloud and the river. Before I entered the river, I was already in it. There has not been a moment when we have not been interbeing. Therefore, you know that as long as you continue to breathe, I continue to be in you. And now just for some silence, followed by reflective music. I hope you all enjoyed that beautiful piece of music. We're now going to have our second hymn, and I'm sure you're still in good voice. And it's a Purple Book from the Purple Book 178, Together Now We Join as One. And Kate will share the screen. I'm sure that was beautifully sung. My address today is about we are all one, and I'm not just thinking of human beings here. We may all look differently, think differently, but our inner beings are interconnected. Life shows these connections constantly, sometimes in unforeseen and mysterious ways. For instance, last week in Reverend Kate's service, during the reflection, I felt very strongly that my dear friend Diane was with me. She had died some years back, but she did so much for our church, and I felt really strongly that she was listening to Kate's service and agreeing wholeheartedly to what Kate was saying about sustainability and the church, and just saying, oh, go for it, Kate, because that's the sort of thing she would say. I think past, present, and future connections are there. And the beginning music was called, it was written specially for the Bob project, which was for all the babies lost in mother and baby homes in Ireland in the 60s. And some of us made, so, you know, all over the country and other countries, we knitted, sewed and crocheted dolls for this project, and it was going to be taken around to all the mother and baby homes in Ireland just to recognise the loss. But unfortunately, that's had to be on hold. But again, you know, connections are past, present, and future. Thich Nhat Hanh calls this interbeing, as it's a connection with all beings and nature, which I think we are all appreciating far more these days, after lockdown and coming out of lockdown and lockdown again. A very beautiful connection I came across recently was 13 Indigenous grandmothers from different parts of the world who met in New York. They say they have heard the agonized cry of the earth and have come together to help heal it by prayer, peace pipes, and other traditional ones. And one of the grandmothers talks about an observation. And she says, there was a time in our life that the Indigenous people, that we were walking on the earth. We didn't have maps, we didn't have road signs, yet we were able to journey. When we felt like we were lost, we would sit down and we would say our prayers in front of the sacred fire. We would then be shown the direction to go. These are innate connections with the divine, and we are rapidly in the process of losing them. Alexis Gum, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but her book called Undrowned, Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Animals, quotes, some of us may be familiar with the concept of echolation. It is a method of communication, of sending and receiving messages used by marine animals. The animal emits a call to the environment and listens for a sound to return. Could this be the sound of the genuine for which the whale listens? The return sound or echo helps the animal figure out where it is and what is in its environment. It is critical for keeping itself alive through navigation and hunting for nutrition. She goes on to say, once upon a time, there was a giant sea mammal who weighed up to 23 tons, swimming in the Bering Sea. Within 27 years, the entire species was extinct, killed on thousands of voyages for fur and sealskin. And then she goes on to talk about, is it dangerous to be discovered? And then, what can I do to honor you? Now it is too late. Here she is talking about the mammal and her own race and the struggles of both, but also the deep communion between them. It's not only animals we are connected to. Think of how you feel when you hug a tree. You can feel the spirit of that tree giving you comfort. If you never tried it, do give it a go. Back along, there was a note there. I'm now using Devon language, back along. Back along, there was a soundscope called Listen to the World. Unfortunately, I can't remember how I found it, but it was the sound of an aspen grove in Utah. It included 47,000 trees and sounded like gentle rain. So many trees, and out of the roots come new trees, and they look different, but they're actually all genetically identical to one root. So what is an individual? Or are we all innately connected to one being, some may call God? Looking back at the Hebrew myth, when we are born and the cord is cut, we become a separate being, or do we? We don't really. We rely on our mother for a long time, and we always have things that link us back to our Mother Earth. The Jewish myth says that when we are born, we forget our interconnection and become individuals. We become independent and unique, which has to happen for our growth. But dig deeper and you will see that everything is really one. Jewish mysticism looks beneath the surface to the truth of oneness. Perhaps the soul in the womb knows that she floats in water made up of elements, the same as stars. She may know she can only eat and breathe because of the umbilical cord that connects her to Mother. So we go across space and time again and again. I'm not sure where Rabbi Green is from, But he writes, each flower, each blade of grass, each human soul is a new manifestation of divinity, a new unfolding of the cosmic one that ever reveals itself through its multicolored garments, ever taking on new and changing forms of life. In the variety of life's riches, we discover the unity that flows through them all. When we realize most of our crises here and around the world are due to our thinking as individuals, we will continue to have racism, greed and corruption, treat immigrants and migrants badly, cruelty to animals, and on. Because we really need to learn that we are part of a whole system. We need to live with both realities, which is often a struggle. Howard Thurman, who is an author, theologian, and civil rights leader, writes about his companionship with our other than human kindred. He writes, "To be alive is to participate responsibly in the experiences of life. Men say grace at meals, not only because they feel a sense of gratitude to God for a sustaining providence, but out of a deep sense of responsibility to the life that has been yielded in order that they may be sustained for one more day. The bacon that a man ate for breakfast at some moment in the past was alive with vibrant elemental health and was vigorous. Because of what he yielded and because of the myriad yielding of many forms of life, we are able to live and carry on. This means our life is not our own. Every minute of life, we are faced with the relentless urgency to make good in our own lives, for the lives that are lost for us. Quite consciously, then, I see my responsibility to all that has gone into the making of me, not only in terms of food, but also in terms of the total contribution that has been made to my life both by the past and the present." And he goes on to say, "I must live my life responsibly or lose my right to self-respect and to integrity." So I think we are all part of the same innate system, and we need to learn from not just humans, from nature and animals. And I think Howard Thurman says it all, really. So thank you for listening to my address. And we will have our benediction now. Well, the benediction today has been written by the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Exeter, USA. "Go in peace, speak truth, give thanks for each day, respect the earth and all creatures, for they are alive like you. Care for your body, it is a wondrous gift. Live simply, be of service, be guided by your faith and not your fear. Go lightly on your way, walk in a sacred manner." Amen.